Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Seth.
I'm Jenna.
Charles.
John.
And I'm Benito.
Hello, and welcome again to Benito. Joining
Thank you.
Again for another episode.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking about Go RPG tonight.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what everybody's thoughts are and
Mm-hmm.
where they're at in this particular genre of things.
Now, before we get started on that, did we want to touch base on Nebcon just a little bit? You and Seth did a panel there, and how'd that go?
Mm-hmm.
We did a panel on Kyoto Animation. They're a anime studio for anyone who's not up on anime news, but they recently suffered an arson attack, and over 36 people dead.
36 dead.
Another 33 wounded or seriously injured, which is most of the people who worked at Studio One. So it was...
And half the staff, half the staff total for the company.
Yeah, it was a huge tragedy for the entire animation industry, because Kyoto Animation has made a name for themselves and set themselves apart both in quality of their animation and quality of their working environment, and a lot of their shows have a very passionate fan base. So this attack was awful. And
As we found, because Benito was awesome enough to come to our panel. How many people would you say in that room? Was it 30?
Oh, you had more than 30.
40?
Oh, yeah.
You probably had, between 40 and 50.
I'd say a little bit over 50.
So,
I think so, probably, yeah.
And a lot of them are very passionate about their favorite shows and episodes, and really encouraging for other audience members to go see.
Was this directed at them? Do we know? The arson attack?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Absolutely. The guy went in, poured gasoline in front of the exit, and lit it on fire.
And the building...
There's only a single exit, apparently.
Yeah, the building was very poorly constructed to resist fire, and the entire building just became a chimney.
So your panel, what did it focus on? I mean, was it more like what they're doing to recover since then, or just...
We focused mostly on the shows, the different shows they did, and the studio history.
Yep, and we didn't want to focus so much on the arson itself. Like, we gave an update of where they were at with everything, because the guy's still in the hospital and they can't start prosecution until he's out. But we didn't even say his name. We don't want to give any notoriety, nothing to this guy. Like, may he rot, as far as I'm concerned.
So has the studio, have they recovered at all? Are they back?
Well, they've got other, Studio One is just their first studio, but it was also...
The archive.
It was their archive. It was where their animation studio was, where they were training their new animators, which is something special. Something that their studio is known for is hiring new people in the field and training them with veteran animators, producers. So not only did they lose a lot of new talent, but they also lost a lot of some of their senior people and their senior producers and directors.
Wow.
So it is a huge hit to the studio, and it is going to take them a long time to recover. Some of their works that were in progress are still being released on time, but there's no way this is gonna not affect them.
You did give a link on where people could donate.
Yep.
Which was awfully nice.
Just buying directly from them, they have products that, like digital photos and things like that would help. There is a GoFundMe as well. So it's a very tragic. What the goal really was to focus on the environment and to encourage people to go see the art, so that it's not lost.
Right.
It's not because a lot of the victims were in their 20s and 30s, and a lot of them were women. I mean, who, because it was from the beginning, Tokyo Animation was female focused and female led, and with all of that in mind, we think from the way the audience received the panel, they're definitely going to go out and hopefully watch some more things. And I think for me and Seth both, just a really poignant moment was, I guess, one of the friends of the animators. She was a young woman from Japan, was actually in the audience.
Wow.
And she came up to us afterward and said thank you, that she had lost a friend and nearly started crying. And she just really appreciated that we were bringing this to American eyes.
Huh, that's very cool. I bet that probably coming to Omaha was one of the last things she expected to see was a panel
Yes.
talking about that, I'm sure. So that was probably made the whole trip for her pretty special, I imagine.
Yeah.
Here, so cool.
Given her reaction, I think we handled it well. So
Nice.
You did. You guys really knew your audience. They responded well. It was a very organic panel. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
I did.
And didn't you have a panel, John?
Yes.
And how'd yours go? It was on the Orville, right?
Yeah. When you're dressed in a big orange diaper, talking about the Orville versus Star Trek, it's going to be, and it's at 11 p.m., so they're drunk. So I think it went well for what I could possibly have expected it to be. I had a good time, and I think everybody else did too.
We will have to flash up a picture of John in his
Yes,
cosplay.
yes, yeah, and it's like, spoiler alert, Zardoz. Have fun with that. And out of respect, I didn't wear that to your panel. I decided not to do that.
I appreciate that. I really do.
After the panel, I went and changed into that, and I knew you'd be gone, so I spared the Kyoto crowd from the Zardoz. But it turned out to be, it was fun. We talked about the Orville, we talked about Star Trek, we talked about what the hell I was wearing, and it's like we had a good time. It was
Did anybody think
good.
you were a character from Star Trek?
No.
Or the Orville?
No.
That's good.
They thought, because the panel right after mine was a hentai panel. And they
They're like, are we
at
early?
At first, yeah, they're like, yeah, this is where the hentai panel is. Look
I
at
mean,
you.
come for the Orville, stay for the hentai.
Stay for the hentai. Yeah. Yeah, I won't do that again.
Oh, come on, man.
Not again.
You were already in costume for the hentai. But, okay, so you were at NebCon all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. We know you did Zardoz. And you did your Fuhrer King Bradley from Full Metal Alchemist. And then you did some sort of thing with a weird grate over your face.
That is Zardoz. That is, if you've ever... Zardoz has a mask, and the mask was incomplete. I'm going to finish it by Okan, because guess what? You get to see it again. It's coming back out.
Okay, so...
But the mask is basically the face of their god. It's reminds me of the mud masks of certain New Guinea people, but it's like it's kind of cool. You'll see. So
all
it's
right.
like,
And their god wears an orange diaper?
no. They do.
That was Sean Connery?
Look, Zardoz is a very strange thing, and I don't know how you got Sean Connery in an orange traditional Indian undergarment attached by garters to bandoliers that are spray painted orange with red drag queen boots. I mean, I don't know what else these are for.
I mean, they got you into it, so...
Yeah, well, that's cosplay is pain, Slice. Someday you'll find that out. I feel you're
really
coming.
don't.
You're coming to the cosplay side. Yes,
I think
you
the
are.
more he sees
No.
of Zardoz, the less interested
Yeah.
he is.
But my Friday cosplay was Star Blazers, and it's like.
Oh, you did the Star Blazers again this year. Nice.
Oh yeah, it's anime. I mean, it's like and I watched. You talked me into getting Funimation. I watched Star Blazers $21.99.
Nice.
And it's awesome.
Yeah,
It
I
is-
grew up with it.
The new Star Blazers, it mirrors the old one, but it's much better animation quality, and there's a plot, which is kind of neat, and it's much better. Thank you for turning me on to that.
Yeah.
No, me neither.
Now, Benito was there as well. He had a table with us too.
Yes.
Tell us about your NebCon experience.
We did a live gameplay of some Dungeons and Dragons for Go RPGs. And whenever we do a live game, we try to do a beginning to end campaign.
So is this
Oh,
everyone
really?
plays,
Yeah, it's
or
tough, but
is
we
this
do it.
the audience watches you play?
Yeah, they watch us play, and we have a big screen up that
Oh,
you
cool.
know they can we've got a switcher and it switches cameras so that you can see each person.
So
We have
kind
a
of
dice
esports
cam.
kind of thing
and-
happening, or
What's that?
kind of an esports kind of thing happening where people watch other people play.
Yes,
All right,
exactly.
sweet.
Yeah, if you haven't watched any live play, you really should.
It's
I
interesting
will.
for sure.
I will do that. The closest I guess I've gotten is that Will Wheaton show.
Right.
But yeah, that's not.
Tabletop.
Yeah, exactly what you're talking about here. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite a thing to set up and
Huh?
and then have enough time to play and then tear down because the next person's right on
So
your
do you have-
rear, ready to start their deal.
So do you have a separate individual that's running the cameras and switching between all
Yeah,
the players?
yeah, the
Yeah.
switcher and the for sure we have that, and then they run a handy cam for some promotional things. But
I see.
yeah, generally the last two times we've played, we have this great campaign and we're trudging away, getting there, and you're getting ready to fight the big boss, and then you look at your watch and you're like, geez, we got 15 minutes,
Oh.
and we just ran into the big boss.
Oh,
So the 2 times ago, we ran into this big bone demon, I think is what it was, and everybody had come into the room to fight the guy, and we had 15 minutes, and by the time we'd made it around the table for each person to do their attack and their magic spells and do what they're going to do, the bone demon didn't even get to attack anybody. We were literally out of time, and so they all hit him one time, and he died, and the game was over, and everybody's like, yeah, everybody in the crowd is cheering, but he didn't even get to do anything. So
You're gonna do it next year, or
yeah, we'll keep doing it all the
give
time.
it a little bit more time this time, maybe. It's like
We just have to work on. Well, every time that we do a campaign, I'm able to tailor it based on the time. And so this last time, when they finally got into some catacombs, and it was sort of a spiral shaped one. As I'm watching the clock and realizing that we're running out of time, all of a sudden there's this hidden tunnel that kind of takes you right through to the middle, and and so there's always ways around all that stuff.
So you GM, you game master the games?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the live games that we do on the road.
Do you ever want to play?
Yeah, I mean, I get my fair share of playing.
Oh,
We're in a
good.
campaign right now where I play every week, and
Yay!
yeah, so I get both
Seth
sides of it.
apparently never gets to play, and he's
I'm
very sad.
always
about
the
that.
dungeon master. Never get to play
Never
the
get to
game.
be the player. Well, we're
Never
gonna
the
change that.
bride.
It sounds like
Yeah.
Yes.
that'll
Mm.
be fun.
Benito
That will
set
be
us up
fun.
for a gaming adventure.
Yeah,
here,
you guys
probably
get a-
right after the first of the year.
We'll do it
perhaps,
after the
sometime.
holidays, I think. Yeah,
Excellent.
we'll come to my dungeon and
It's
Yeah.
like sounds like the beginning of a Melissa Etheridge song, but it's like sweet.
Come to my dungeon.
To my dungeon.
So give us a little overview of what is RPG.
so
Go RPG or just RPGs in general? Yeah. Go RPG.
well, so Go RPGs is really just a community. It stands for Greater Omaha Role Playing
Oh.
Games. Is where we got Go RPGs.
Oh,
And our thought was we're just going to tailor it for, because there's so much going on in this area. We thought we'll just deal with Omaha. Of course, it grew bigger than that just because everybody loves them and everybody's into it.
Sure.
So Go doesn't really pertain to anything anymore. It's just
Right. It's just what it is.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But really, all we did was we wanted to make a Facebook group where anybody and everybody who liked to play role playing games just had one community to come in and talk about things. So if people are looking for games or they're looking for GMs or just looking to meet or have questions, everybody has questions on whatever different games they're playing.
Sure.
Funny memes, jokes, pictures. It's just a lot of fun, and people post all day, every day. And they just come in and just chat and have a good time. And so when we did that, I started watching, what is it, Acquisitions Incorporated.
Yeah. Penny arcades.
Yeah, right. So I started watching that, and I thought, geez, as much as we all love to play, we should just throw some cameras up and give people the ability who don't necessarily are into RPGs, just put it out there, and then maybe we'll get more people in when they realize how much fun it is
Yeah.
to just be someone else and be somewhere else and get to do crazy, amazing things. And so that's how that started. And then I thought, well, all these cons and things, maybe we take this on the road and we play in front of an audience, and because we know those people like it or like to play or at least understand what it is. And then we've been just extremely successful at that. People love to come and watch. And
Did you think it would blow up the way it is? Because your following is pretty high.
no, I didn't expect it to grow as fast as it did. The numbers just kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and then I was just putting feelers out to different conventions and places to see if anybody was interested in live gameplay. I didn't know if anybody even would. And so far, everybody we contacted wanted us to come play.
Because what are
So-
you at now? I was about to look it up, but
On the group page?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure.
let's
I don't
see.
know.
Any guesses?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we're even at 1,000.
you've obviously hit
Maybe.
a chord with a large number of people.
There's
Which
a
is
lot of
good.
groups out there, and so we're all sharing things.
Yeah.
So a lot of the groups will just take what we have on our page, share it on their page, and
Vice versa.
yeah, so we get some of their followers, we get some, and they get some of ours, and vice versa. And everybody's just jumping around, and it's been fun.
So you're at
It's been great.
197 members.
Oh, that may be the page. The group is much bigger.
Yeah, because you do have a lot of engagement.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So what kind of campaigns do you do? Is it? I assume it's not all D&D.
So far it has been,
Oh,
as
really?
far as the live gameplay.
Okay.
And only because, I don't know, because I started Go RPGs and I like Dungeons and Dragons. That's why. I don't know how else to say it. We're just, we're
Do
doing
what you like, yeah.
doing the things I like
Yeah.
to do. And I have friends who enjoy doing the same thing. So we just go and do it.
But right now you've also got products that you're developing to make gameplay easier, correct?
We had, I shouldn't say we, it was me, and I'm not trying to brag. But when I say we, I don't want
Sure.
to confuse anybody. It was just static cling, reusable terrain pieces. So when you're playing on your map, I mean, none of us are, I shouldn't say that, but a lot of us aren't great artists. Like if I go, here's a tree, and I go, here's a black squiggly line, that was supposed to be a tree.
Right.
Or, if I got to draw a tavern real quick and it looks terrible. So I had just came up with static cling decals that stick to your mat.
Oh.
And then you can place them anywhere you want. They peel right off and go back in their
Nice.
holder, and you can just keep reusing your mat.
On a
That's a good
whiteboard,
idea.
right?
No, just on those grid boards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had found a company here who has a static cling material
Yeah.
that you can clean. So, it
Oh,
sticks to
that's
everything.
cool.
Dog hair gets on it, or
Yeah.
fuzzies
Yeah,
or whatever.
Right.
So you just stick it under your sink and wash with soap and water, get it all clean again, let it dry, and it goes right
And
back to
can you
being
write
sticky.
on them too if you want? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. So we're in that development now. I've got a partner and a graphic artist who's been working tirelessly to do that. So we'll see how it goes.
I could use some of those.
But we
Yes,
did a
yes, you
GoFundMe,
did.
and what's
Yeah.
funny is we did the GoFundMe, and now I'm seeing it pop up everywhere. Like
Oh yeah.
people are like rushing to
Get
Get on
manufacture
board.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen them all over. I even
Yeah,
see them
yeah.
on eBay, and
Have you
Wow.
considered submitting a patent on it?
I thought about it.
Do it.
Do
it now.
hurry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it
Retire.
now.
We had talked about it. I
What
can't
are you
remember-
waiting for? Do
It
it.
was, I can't remember what it was called. There was two different ones. There's a long-term one and then a short one while you're developing.
Yeah.
And we needed it the minute it hit the GoFundMe, the program, or the GoFundMe campaign.
Yeah.
That's when that particular one starts, and you only have a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And so
Mhm.
once that one runs out, you better have your legit one in place. So I've been in contact with a couple of attorneys, and
Yeah.
Cool.
Talking
Good.
about-
Because it's like you hate to see it. People have ideas, but you're actually executing it, and then they're like, "Oh, people who have way more money and way more resources just trying to jump ahead of you
Yeah.
on that."
At least make Wizards of the Coast pay you $50 million for
when
it.
they steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we
right.
dropped the GoFundMe program. Before it was done, we shut it down because we had a guy come in and said, "Hey, this is an awesome idea. We love it. I'm just gonna give you whatever you need. Just stop the GoFundMe."
Okay.
Does that mean he
Hmm.
has? Did you sign anything? It's like, does he have intellectual rights to it now? Or?
Or can we not
well,
talk
I can't
about
really
it?
talk about a whole
All
lot.
right,
Yeah.
fair
He's
enough,
very
fair
silent
enough.
partner, but
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah, he's like, let's just shut it down. He's like, just stop, and we'll. So then I had to send all these, letters out, apology letters, because I was in contact with everybody that was so stoked for the idea
Yeah.
and wanted to be a
Right,
part of it, and we had, not benefits, whatever they're called, incentives.
Mhm.
And so, listen, I'm really sorry this happened, but this is kind of where we're. And nobody was upset about it. Everybody was
great.
excited for the program and wanted to help
Right.
support and see it happen. So everybody was very nice about it.
That's what's great about your followers, whether it be for Go RPG or Wetworks. Those who haven't seen our other podcasts with Benito, please go out and do that. He can see all of the movie magic he makes in the background along with this. But they're very positive people who are really supportive in what you do, and they seem flexible, like agile to deal with a situation like you just saying. And that's what's very cool. It's a kind of no judgment, no whatever. Let's just all enjoy being nerds together.
Yeah, exactly. And the first graphic artist team that I had gone to, not the artist himself, but an actual company who could do the computer end of it and then get that sent to the print shop. When I first went in to talk to them about what they needed in formats and different programs, or how the art needed to come to them, and I was talking to them about, we started talking about Planet Comic Con. And then we started nerding out about Batman. And then we started nerding about all these other things. And by the time we were done, he didn't even charge me anything. He's like, I'll just do it. I'll just do this thing. We'll send it over to the printer and we'll do some test runs and we'll see how it goes. Then we'll decide.
That's cool.
So yeah, it all came out of nerdy comic book stuff.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, so it's funny how everything sort of, once one nerd connects to another, it's just I'll help you out however I can.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
And that's like one of the good parts of D&D is that you can really kind of form a community around it. Like, there's no way to play. Well, I guess there are several ways to play a game and not end up like friends with people afterwards.
Yeah, right.
But if you've got a good campaign, chances are you're playing with a lot of good friends.
Or you can lose some friends.
Right.
It seems like the opposite happens. You lose friends more than, or I mean, you make friends more than you lose friends.
Yeah.
Right. But occasionally
But it can happen. I've
Sometimes
seen
it depends
happen,
on how the
unfortunately.
game goes.
It's very strange.
Now, what was that con we went to that had the Undercon where they had
That is Conquest in KC.
Conquest? So I don't know if you've ever been to that, but
Uh-uh.
they have a thing called Undercon, and it's all board game or
So about, I'd say like 30% of it is devoted to board games and role-playing games, and the other much more massive part of it is a huge, like Warhammer type games, various Warhammer type games.
But
So
they
many.
have amazing setups, actually 3D constructs that
Yeah.
they've made of towns and villages, and I mean, I was just blown away by all of the
Yeah,
stuff.
those are
I don't know if
amazing.
You've ever seen that? But that was really incredible. And all I could think of was the money and time that they put into building all of that stuff. I mean, you really got to. That would be your hobby. That would be your
Yeah.
what you dedicate
Yeah,
yourself to.
for sure,
So,
right.
if you just have something like you like playing D&D once a week at a certain time, the little adhesive templates that you've got for the board would be an easy way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where that goes and
Or
how
if
long
you're
it takes. It may
I think
take a
it'd be
long
very
time, but
popular.
it's been
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, or if you're just starting with, younger players, or you're in college and you don't have as much space in your dorm room.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
those are all the things. You just keep them on, I'm sure, wax paper or whatever.
It goes right. You can actually. It has the outline of each
Perfect.
decal, so it just lays right back in its spot, and you just put it in a
nice.
folder and
Oh.
put it where you want.
Where would one go to look for a game? In your
Like-
opinion,
Look for a campaign.
yeah, to play.
Geez, any one of the game shops.
Right.
They have not weekly. They have daily games, nightly games.
Yeah, I was gonna go try to find something at Sparta, but Sparta's not there anymore.
Well,
which
there
makes me
is a
sad.
Which is
West
sad.
O game shop that opened that's independently owned. Like, I think it's always good to try and support local
Oh, yeah.
game
There-
shops whenever you
All
can.
the Dragon's Lair shops
Yeah.
have games.
Yep.
Dragon's Lair.
Which is an oldie but goodie.
I
The-
love the one out north.
Yeah, the game shop in Bellevue. They have games going on.
Krypton Comics.
Krypton's a good one. They've got a good gaming space. Yeah, if there's a game shop, chances are that sells RPG stuff. Chances are they've got open groups there looking for players or just having open play. Spielbound, they do some RPG stuff.
They're downtown, right?
Yeah.
Been a while. It's like to get the timing. It's like because now I'm aware that you guys stop. It's like there's like how long do you play? 3-4 hours. Stop.
Kind of depends on the group. Like,
Well, last time I played I was 15 and we played 4 days straight. I mean, we didn't sleep. We literally stayed up and it's like it hurt. But
that's
it's like we did that. That's what we did. So
the power of caffeine and sugar
Right.
compels you.
and
Yeah.
being 15. It's
And
True,
being
yeah.
15,
Yeah.
that helps.
So it really does. But it's like it was a smelly, painful mess by the time we were all done.
Yeah,
But it's like,
I've never done 4 days
Yeah,
before,
no.
but I've done 8 to 12 hours before.
yeah. Well,
I can see 8 to 12 hours.
The other place is called the Geek Shop.
Oh, the West O one.
Yeah, the Geek Shop.
Ooh,
Where is
I
it?
haven't
Where is
been
it?
there.
Yeah, it's off of like 180th and Pacific.
Oh,
So
too
they
far
let
away.
you bring in food. They've got some snacks.
Hey, Katie, a new game shop.
They do late nights on Friday and Saturday too, and they'll do premiere games and demonstrate them.
Yeah.
So-
Are you saying you haven't played since you were 15?
no, I have not.
Oh,
I tried to
listen.
play with Seth, but he will not have me.
No,
We're
it's not that I
full
won't
party.
have
Of a
you.
game.
It's that I've got 6 people in my campaign already.
That's a lot.
That
Yeah.
that is a lot. Like,
And we are unruly.
See, I'm just
God,
hearing some
yes, we
clicking
have
coming.
Jenna.
You hear the clicking? It never stops. Just click.
Well, you're going to play when we do our
So-
League of
Yeah.
Arcane.
Yes.
So
Yes,
something
I,
you
see,
can.
I get to play with Benito.
Yeah. Well,
So
something.
what's this? Oh yeah, there it is right there. All right, that's fine.
So something you can do if
I
you
still
want the
love you.
RPG experience but can't find a DM is you can go and find a game that's RPG like. There's one that's very popular right now called Gloomhaven that a lot of people like.
Oh yeah, I posted a few advertisements of that on Jant. It's like it sounds like a quick version that you can play by yourself.
You can play with it by yourself or with a crew.
You can.
And it's an ongoing game, much like any campaign, and has an ongoing story, a city you can actively build.
How does that work? Is it just like the story is like based on dice throws, and if you get a certain number, you have a different story? and then-
Certain they have kind of a campaign planned out from what I understand, and certain encounters will have certain setups, and you will have persistent heroes that level up and stay with you, or even die, and
So what you're telling me is I have to make my own D&D with blackjack and hookers.
yes,
Okay.
that's
All right.
exactly what I'm
All right.
telling you.
That's
Kind of
If
sounds
you
to me
want-
like
I might want to
maybe
join
they
that
have
campaign.
this.
So
Do they have like a Match.com?
You already have blackjack and
for
hookers.
this?
Match.com.
Well, where you fill out your personality types
Tinder.
and stuff, and you know which person you don't want on your campaign. So,
Right?
um,
Right.
I think Jenna just
That's
had an
what they need.
inspiration.
well, the
Something.
Geek Shop actually they through their site they have some type of gamer connections. Like so it's not quite Tinder, but if you post and stuff, you'd have to go to the website to see West Omaha Game Shop, but it allows you to get connected with someone like, hey, I'm looking for someone to do a campaign.
Elf cleric seeking.
Yeah.
half-
Yeah.
really should-
like-minded.
I should one like if I had a lot of extra time, I should like 100% make some sort of app like Grinder where you're just like trying to find a
That's
Can
RPG
we not go
group.
as far as Grinder? Maybe more Tinder.
Oh,
Tinder
whatever.
Light?
Well,
No,
Crossbow is not
Not a
considered
bad
since
idea.
I
People
mean,
are always looking for games.
Yeah.
yeah, people looking for people to play with.
like Bill was saying, elf cleric seeks group for adventure.
And actually, what you could do is you could set it up like anyone
No chaotic evil.
has anyone ever been a couch surfer? Like officialcouchsurfer.org.
I don't know
What?
that
Heard of
means.
it.
Yeah.
So couch surfing is this fantastic phenomenon where you can connect. Linda, don't judge me, Linda. Where you basically, if you're traveling, you connect with people, and you know, hey, I'm going to the city. I'm looking for a cup of coffee. I'm looking for someone to show me around, or I'm looking for a place to stay.
Mhm.
And you don't exchange money, but basically, like maybe you buy them dinner, or you share an experience of traveling, and you have a couch to surf on. So what was really cool about the application, the organization, is that there were people could rate you as a traveler, but you could also rate your host.
Oh, neat.
So even though it was free, there was you had to certify you are who you are by donating $1, so they can connect your bank account so they know who you were. But then it's like if you're a terrible host, people are going to write about you. And just like if you're a terrible guest, they're going to write about you. So if you add that element to such a game app, this person was fun to play with. This person cheats. This person's,
This person is chaotic
Interesting.
neutral no matter what their alignment is.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This
So-
person complained to
very
be in my
interesting.
game, and I just wouldn't let him in ever. So yeah, these things happen.
6 players quit bitching.
So how often do you guys play?
We play once a week. Regularly, yeah, for sure, every Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you record all those sessions and then they go up on your.
No, we don't actually. We have separate ones. We play religiously every week with people who may not want to either do an audio or a video,
Okay.
type thing, which is fine.
They
I mean,
want
you
no
know-
evidence.
Right, true. Not everybody is a look at me.
Yeah.
So we have a nice game where we can just all sit down and eat snacks and play, and there's no
I
pressure.
see.
Are they
And then
different? It's
every-
like to play the recorded games versus the not recorded games. Is it
They're-
like
they're
more
different
casual?
campaigns.
It's like,
Oh, what do you mean? Are they different?
is it easier? I mean, it's like, are there steps you have to take when you're recording that may slow the game down
No.
or make it less organic?
No, not at all.
All right.
You don't have any idea the camera's even on you because someone
Oh,
else
cool.
is running the switcher. And
How many cameras do you have?
we run, let's see, we have 5 cameras, I think. 4 cameras, 5 cameras.
Yeah.
So that's between the map, the DM, the players. We had a dice cam. for a while. I'm not sure if we still have the dice cam. We may not have that anymore. I don't
That's
remember.
fun.
So
But
you're
that's
all
because
supposed
we've
to
been-
throw it in the same space. And
Yeah, well, there's actually a little thing you throw it in the dice tray. But the reason I don't remember off the top of my head is because we're on hiatus from D&D Just for Laughs, and it's just because we had so many live shows coming up with the cons and con season and whatnot. But we will start in January again with that show, and that one runs live on Facebook and Twitch,
Oh, okay.
and that's every other Wednesday that we do those games.
I see. Oh.
Yeah,
So that would be twitch.com/justforlaughs or
Go RPG.
go RPG.
We'll look it all up when the time comes, but it's something.
Yeah, we'll get all the links and make
Yeah.
sure we get them in the
Okay.
episode
Yeah.
description
Yeah, so
because
Twitch
I
is-
need to follow a few.
Twitch has been fun. Twitch is a little oversaturated, so you're definitely a small fish in a big pond. But it's fun to be able to say, hey, go to Twitch, and you can watch it here.
From
It's
what
good
I-
to be everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from what I understand, there are a few
But
different
Facebook's our
services
best.
that are trying to start up and looking for good stuff.
Mhm.
I can't remember them off the top of my head, so I'll look them up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put them in the description.
Yep.
We get our most views from Facebook Live, and then as the video's up for a while, we're 900 and 1,000 people will come through.
Wow.
Oh,
and watch
wow.
on Facebook. Way
So-
better numbers than Twitch.
how do I get on there from Facebook?
To watch the
To,
if you go to the Go RPGs
Yep.
group page.
It'll give you alerts too.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like
you
I
will
get
be like
alerts
a
when
watch
they're about
party?
to go live.
What's that?
is it like a watch party or is it something different?
Well, you go on there to watch us play.
Yeah, but will like an alert pop up in my?
Yeah, when we're going live.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, we're about to start Waterdeep, which will be a gigantic campaign, and so
Yeah.
we're finishing Ravenloft now in our regular campaign, which has
Ooh.
been really fun. We're probably on session 20 something, 25 maybe. That one's been fun.
And these are just normally purchasable campaigns that,
Yeah,
that you buy and then.
the reason I wanted to do Ravenloft, we had done some homebrews with other dungeon masters that we play with, and I just kept remembering when I was 15, 16 years old that the campaign Ravenloft had come out. And it was such a departure from what we were doing with dungeon crawls, and you're fighting goblins and
Yeah.
dragons, and it's all the classic Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And when Ravenloft came out, it was a take on horror. So you're fighting a vampire, and there's werewolves and full moon and
It sounds very cool.
everything really cool Hammer sort of style horror.
Yeah.
So when that came out, I just remember as a kid thinking that was such a fun departure and so much. And I was starting to get into horror movies anyway at that point, so I really latched onto that. So then 35 years later, when we start playing again, I thought I'm going to go back to find that campaign from '84, and I'll just change it over to the new 5e rules, and I want to take my friends through it.
Yeah.
And then as I was doing the research, it turns out they'd already done that.
Mhm.
It's already in this whole big book.
Huh.
So I get the big book. It's called Curse of Strahd, and if you play it, you start out at level 1, and then by the time you're done playing, you're level 9. So that's how big this campaign is.
Wow.
And we were already a few levels up anyway, and I thought these guys aren't going to sit through 200 campaigns of the same game.
Right.
It takes place in a bigger area. You're traveling from one township to another, and you're having all these encounters. And then at the end, when you come to the castle to fight Strahd the vampire, by that point, they're assuming you're going to be level 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just wanted to go straight to the castle.
Mhm. Ah,
Right.
like you do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we came into town, I brought him in, and we did a little tour of Barovia, and we get the history of the tower and Strahd and the backstory of what's going on, and just enough to get my players to the castle. Of course, I have to bring the big baddie down a little
Yeah.
and, tame him down a little. And the encounters in the castle, tame those down a little bit. And then we just went in the castle, and they started looking for Strahd, and it's been a lot of fun.
It sounds like
A lot
it's-
of fun.
So how long did that campaign go? How many?
Well, that's what I was saying. I think we're 25.
Wow.
We're 25 sessions in, and they're not even close. to
Oh,
being
really?
done. Yeah, no.
Wow.
There's just all kinds of trap doors, and of course Strahd can turn to any time that he gets all the way down to just a couple of hit points.
Yeah.
He turns into mist and disappears.
Son of a.
Yeah, so being
That
the
would be tough.
yeah, it's really tough on these
Yeah.
guys. But there's certain things that have to happen to really defeat him correctly, if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to railroad anybody, but I have to keep. They're not finding the pieces they need to find, so I keep. As they miss it here, I have to move it here, and then, they're completely off, so we're going to teleport now to another part of the castle where I put it here, and then they may have missed it. And then, so I'm struggling with them trying to get all the pieces together. And then the crew split into 3 groups.
Oh no! Don't split the party.
In a gigantic castle that's...
Yeah, haven't they seen Stranger
Oh my
Things?
gosh.
Never split the party.
It's got the most elaborate, beautiful map that was ever drawn in Dungeons & Dragons history.
These guys sound like the psych project I had in Psych 102, a lab rat I named Biff, who could not do a Skinner box. And it sounds like you've got Biff in your party.
A little bit.
He won't press the bar. If you press the bar, it'll give you food.
I mean, I don't know what that feels like at all with my campaign.
Well, neither do I, because you won't let me in it.
We
so
keep
it's
you
like-
entertained.
What did I say? Quit bitching. You do keep me entertained.
If nothing else.
So it's been fun. And the other thing,
So
too,
you
is
were beaten by a lab rat?
Yeah.
Charles took out the appropriate thing here.
It was a +9 lab rat, man. It's
+9 lab rat.
Dire lab rat.
It was a dire lab rat, yeah.
That's funny.
He'd get on the bar. So all he would do is like lean on it, and there's food. But now he'd get on it and he'd like look at me like he's taunting me.
I'm on the bar.
It's like, yeah, see, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Not gonna push it, yeah.
So you said you are playing in 5e right now.
5e.
So, I'm playing in Pathfinder, and I have source books for Fate, a Fate system, and I think a couple more, and my old 3.5 books still. So there's a lot of different systems you can play in. You've played in, I
Really
think,
is.
3.5, didn't you say?
Pathfinder, yeah.
5e is so simple.
Really?
But it's almost... I'm going to say 2 things here that are complete opposites. It's kind of hard to die in 5e.
Mm-hmm.
But then the guys I'm playing with through my castle crawl, they just keep dying.
Well, they're not finding the stuff either.
Oh,
you,
goodness.
You literally have Biff the lab rat in your party.
So
yeah.
we've had to come up with... I had to come up with... There's dark magic in the castle, and so every time you die, you come back, but some of your abilities are down a little bit. You got some kind of weird things going on.
Right.
But I've got, one that she keeps dying, and she just comes back. She's just this complete, crazy, black, demon, weirdo, chaotic, evil, doesn't know what's going on. Her mind's been melted so many times and brought back to life.
Stop looking at me.
Is it her fault, or is it just she just gets those rolls that
No.
are just
Started.
It just happens. It's like some weird luck of
Without
dice roll.
getting too nerdy, there was one section where they had gone through a doorway and forgot to check for traps.
Oh.
And as you're going through the doorway, just in that one span of one step, you go to this other dimension where you just see the most horrific things you could possibly imagine, and then take that times 1,000. And so it just gets so bad, and it's all this mental damage that you take and the visions that you see. Well, one of the characters clawed his eyeballs out. It was so bad.
So the Event Horizon kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of,
Yeah,
right.
That's
Exactly.
just exactly what I was thinking of.
So the girl runs through there. I'm going to go, help him, try to heal him. She runs through the doorway, and then so she goes through this whole thing, claws her eyeballs out. Then she goes back out the doorway. It's still that no one's cleared the thing of the magic yet. She goes back out, so it's even worse. I think she slit her throat or something. It was just, it was horrible. So she's laying on the ground dying, but nobody seemed to care. Well, let's take care of this door, and then let's search this room. So she's out there by herself. And so, yeah.
I'm not quite dead yet.
Some fog rolls in, and some wolves drag her off.
Oh no!
So she's off in a whole different part of the castle, and the dogs chew her to pieces, which was just horrible. We're rolling the whole time, and she's trying to fight for her life with these dogs that are just shredding her to pieces. But when you say, is it her fault? No, the group just left her. And the dogs drug her off. She died.
How can you? Then there's issues with these people.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta.
Well, and that's the thing too. I'm like, you hear a scream from outside the door.
Yeah.
And it's getting fainter and fainter as they're dragging her off. But there's still, there's shiny things on the wall and swords and magic books they're trying to look through. And they're like, we'll just find her later. And,
Well, because
they did find her later,
dungeon is
but
generous. People keep coming back to life.
Bits of her
that's
life.
what happened.
Yeah.
Just bits and pieces of her.
Right.
We'll just sew it back together. It's fine.
Oh,
She
she's
did
over
come
there.
back,
Yeah.
There,
but if
a little bit over here.
we're talking about 5e, and it is kind of hard to die. Like, you get so many rolls to... You don't just die when you get down to 0 hit points. You're unconscious. And then you can get up to, 5 rolls. If you get 2, failed death saves, but you get 3 good death roll or death saves and you survive. And then there's everybody's got healing magic, and you can, if you're just conscious enough, somebody can pour a healing potion down your throat and you're back up. And
Well, I remember
so it's really kind of hard to die.
in the 80s, I played a system called the Arduin Grimoire system, and it's like they had a weird critical system. If you rolled a 20, you then took two 20-sided dice, and you rolled those, and it had a chart with 100 different outcomes.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
I know what you're talking
it's like I remember I once was fighting a dragon, and I critical. Or actually, I hit a 1, and a 1 it has same thing. I rolled that, and I killed it. It said I slipped, and my knife accidentally cuts his carotid. The opponent dies instantly. And it's like this was like a massively huge. My
just says
character
opponent.
literally went up like 4 levels from doing that. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh,
So
that's
your
right.
so your character is not a real boy in that instance.
No, not at all. It was literally I should have named him Pinocchio or Newman or something like that. But
That's
it's
funny.
like, do any of the games have systems like that?
They
in
do
them?
have systems. They do have the 100-sided die roll things that. There's some magic surge that happens for some of the characters, and
Yeah, some of it's good. Some of it very very few, but sometimes a 1. I guess that would be, a death roll
Yeah.
in its own special way. But yeah,
there's something that's called a deck of many things.
Oh
It's
yes.
maybe not quite like that, but it's sort of similar to that based on dice rolls. Your whole campaign can just go down the toilet. Like everybody all of a sudden is in a whole nother dimension and they can't move or see each other and it's pitch black or something really good happens. But the odds are sort of in the favor of negative things happening. So I slipped that in there just to see what these guys were. So they got.
So are you, like,
they
doing,
They
like-
just put it in their bag of holding and just thought, well, we'll use this at the very end if something catastrophic happens with this
it
big
sounds
big
like
boss.
you're actually doing experiments on this particular group because
Kinda.
Well, that's kind of like you kind of do that when you're a DM, just to kind of see how your group responds.
It can get a
I
little
would
cookie
know
cutter
how
if you're
you
not.
do things, but I imagine that's
Bitch,
how it
bitch,
goes.
bitch,
Now,
bitch,
did
bitch.
Were you a player before you became a DM?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing for since college, so about almost 20 years now. I didn't actually get into it until I got to college because there was no one playing out in Hershey, Nebraska.
Oh yeah, I bet not.
How
No,
many people
not
live in Hershey, Nebraska?
500 when I was last there.
Yeah.
And they did not, in fact, have a game store. It was Monopoly or bust.
Right?
Oh dear God.
Game
That's
stores
funny.
were Satan.
So.
Speaking
Yeah.
of which, how about the Satanic Panic? When you were playing, that probably would have
Oh
been.
yeah.
I was
Mhm.
right in the middle of
I
that.
never played that.
You never
No,
played
it's
the
not.
Satanic
It's,
Panic?
it's not a game. It's the
Yeah,
panic that people had saying that D&D is witchcraft,
Oh,
it's teaching
that.
Back
kids
in the 80s.
sorcery.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
wore
Oh, yeah.
if you wore
All
heavy
right.
metal T-shirts and had long dark hair.
Yeah.
Which I did.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why people cross the street when I
They
walk by.
probably
But
did.
yeah.
Well,
Sweet.
yeah, I mean, like they were like some of the popular Christian belief was that playing D&D you were learning how to cast
Yeah.
real magic.
Well, I was also into to Rush, and Rush likes to use pentagrams on things. So my T-shirts, did not inspire confidence in
I'm
this
sur-
room.
I'm surprised you're still alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda. You're not
Well, I
in jail
wasn't
for
in
a
rural
crime you didn't
Nebraska.
commit.
I was in like Groton, Connecticut at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit more open-minded, shall we say? Yeah. I would not have survived the Western Nebraska experience in a Rush T-shirt. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, how was it playing D&D back during the Satanic Panic?
It was interesting. I remember being in school, and that's about
How many
that.
parents came and
Yeah, exactly.
you?
That Tom
Threw
Hanks
the
movie
Bible
had
at your
come
head?
out, the Mazes and Monsters movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember a lot of parents saw that. And we had a pretty good sized group of Dungeons and Dragons players in my little hometown, McCook, Nebraska. There's probably
McCook?
6 or 7 of us, probably.
I lived there for 9 months, man. That's a terrible place. It's
Yeah,
like
it's not.
it's evil. It's
It's tough.
My grandparents lived there. My dad
Yeah.
grew up there, so.
Yeah, it was rough.
they watched everything I did. It's like they knew when they looked out the window. I saw the curtains ruffle when I looked over. It's like, and my aunt always had an update on where I'd been. It's like,
Oh,
who's watching? Yeah,
that's just a Midwest
that's
thing.
no, that's just a wrong, creepy ass like.
That's a
like,
Midwest.
don't look
That's-
at me thing.
that's
It's
rough
like
here.
I guess it's the difference between rural and urban.
Yeah, you're
But
probably
it's
right.
like no one cares in the big city, but they
Well,
sure seem to care
there's
in the
an
little
entirely
city.
different survival because I'm from the West Coast, and so where I grew up, you survived by not noticing things.
No,
And so you come
no
here.
police officer. I didn't see
No, but
anyone
it's
drive
just like,
through
no,
here
so if you're
last
getting
week.
mugged,
Sergeant
if
Schultz
you're getting
mentality.
mugged, what you'll see is the window shades closing, right? Or if you're, that's not, so you come here and the neighbors are watching
Yeah,
what
it's the
you're
opposite.
doing. It's the exact opposite. I presume it's a survival instinct.
Or it's just
And-
being nosy.
We're being nosy, but I mean, but but there's a very odd, different way of doing things. Both probably irritating.
Yeah.
Right.
I was irritated when I first moved out here.
People
neighbors.
watching you.
Yeah.
In Omaha?
Yeah.
Are you saying you're not irritated now?
Yeah.
Well,
I remember we
acceptance.
were going to have a whole segment on the
Acceptance.
show saying what's eating Charles. If I remember correctly, you're not
But
unknown for your.
But I remember
grumpiness.
being nervous about playing D&D when I was in middle school because of the satanic overtones. And do you try to play it with your group at school or not?
Yeah,
and that was I know at one point we did, but I think we started out. The kid that was getting me involved, the dungeon master, we started out not playing at the school, and at some point I know we got permission or something, but I remember being nervous about it.
Yeah.
And I remember being warned by my mother not to.
Well, you know,
What?
you'd think that
It wasn't
any
being
of
warned
the-
that she didn't think that Satan was going to take over my soul or anything. It was more like, by the way, the other parents might
Yeah.
think they think Satan's going to take over your soul.
Look out for those Christians.
Yeah, but yeah, that was
But you'd think if there was anything to this black magic stuff, that the news would be covering stories about people getting turned into newts and, you know,
Demons
weird,
flying around.
yeah,
See,
demons
look,
flying
if-
around,
But
I
the,
would
this
be-
thing
hell
back then,
gates opening, and right.
but back then they were covering stuff like that. It was
Yeah.
all BS. But there were all these news stories about so and so's possessed and was
Yeah,
it
but
ghost? I
If
mean,
you really
and-
look at the things that Christians do to save other people's souls, it's like, I'll take the possession. It's
Well-
like, what? You want to press me? You want to put like a barn door on me and keep loading rocks? You want to dunk me underwater, and if I don't drown, then I'm a witch, so you have to
Yeah,
burn me
true.
alive? It's like all the things. It's like, I'll take the possession.
All
Possession for 200, Alex. Yes.
all I can say is if D&D really let me cast magic missile, I would be all in.
Right, right.
I had forgotten about Satanic Panic, obviously.
Yeah.
So
It
thank
was-
you for reminding me. Yeah, there
it
is
was
certain
interesting.
immunity to wearing pentagrams on your shirts.
Yeah.
It's like obviously I kind of went to the far other side, and apparently, you know, my group of friends did the same thing, and I guess that's why we didn't have a lot of friends. Of course,
Yeah.
it couldn't be that you know
I was very lucky.
we were
my,
antisocial, but
my parents they realized it was just garbage and we were just a bunch
Yeah.
of kids having a good time. And you know, one of the friends in our group, it was a girl, and she'd bake cupcakes or brownies every week, and we,
cha-ching.
Ah,
Nice.
the most wholesome.
Right.
yeah.
And they knew we were off the streets and we weren't. doing
Yeah, that's
drugs
the
and
big
Right.
thing. It's
Come
like
We were at another kid's parents' house playing in the basement. And,
come to Satanism, we have cupcakes.
yeah.
I really like reading and kind of studying up on the Satanic Panic because
It's very interesting.
I was definitely in the conservative Christian culture, like small town conservative Christian at the time.
You're in the Christian belly button of the world. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
Ord, Nebraska is right about the time where I was when the Satanic Panic was really going on, and I remember that people were 100% convinced that there was a cult in the next town over, and they were coming over and kidnapping kids and probably sacrificing them either at the baseball diamond or somewhere in the park.
Wow.
And like we thought it was 100% real because we went out to the park once and we found melted candles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they were.
So-
I mean, law enforcement at the time, they were teaching law enforcement officers to look for pentagrams and what this meant. And you know, if you happen to see this in the park, it probably was a satanic ritual that was happening. And there was.
My hometown on the West Coast, they actually arrested police officers for being part of a satanic cult.
They did.
Huh.
For what? What? How do you? What evidence did they have?
They
Mostly
confessed.
just
They
Dead
confessed.
virgins.
Yeah, that was so there was this whole up until around 1990, the whole build-up,
Is this like the way they confessed in the Inquisition, like on the rack?
I
or
think, well, they
something?
found a guy that, him and his family, I say his daughters, were easily suggestible, but he was a sheriff, and so then he confessed, and as they questioned him, he would go, "Yeah, I must have done it," and then he started bringing other people in, and they it was a daily thing in the home. Yeah, there's a. It's a real. And then,
Sounds
anyway,
like an Arthur Miller story.
oh, it is.
Well-
It was. So I remember following this, and then it just kind of disappeared. Well, it just people. Yeah, when they were interrogated, people just went yeah or no, and there was just enough people going yeah.
Huh.
A lot.
That it kept going for a while.
Yeah, a lot of the stories relied on the testimony of children,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of
Which
the
were
cases,
being suggested.
Yeah, a
was the
lot of the
daycare.
cases
Yeah.
There's
were
a great
daycares.
The
story.
daycare.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this was too. It started out with a psychiatrist and kids having nightmares. And
It's
Mhm.
the West Memphis 3. That's probably the best if you're going to encompass what's going on with the satanic panic. It was really interesting how those 3 kids just got blamed for the murder of some other, little kids. And a lot of other evidence was there to prove otherwise, and it was probably someone else. But it was just ignored because these kids had listened to heavy metal music and,
Right.
wore band T-shirts. And I think it's a 3-part documentary. I think they followed it over about 3 decades of these 3 kids who grew to adults in prison and
Yeah.
how the case progressed. But it's really interesting.
I coulda
It's-
gone
it's
to
a fun,
prison
not
for
a
that?
fun watch, an interesting watch.
Yeah.
Damn.
With the right
Yeah.
evidence and the wrong police
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you ever read The Darkest Dungeon by Jack? It's an old chick tract that came out in the late 70s,
I did.
early 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it now that you said that. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
I think I posted it
So-
on my page.
We do not.
Oh, it's on the
so-
Go
All
RPG page.
Oh,
I
okay.
put it on there.
So-
the link to the comic.
If you're not familiar, there's this guy named Jack Chick who puts out these Christian comic
Oh
tracts.
yeah, I remember those.
And they're all bullshit.
They
But,
are.
I mean,
They're
like
amazing.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Yeah, they're
Super fun.
amazing bullshit. Just wild. But there's one called The Darkest Dungeon, which was his warning to the Christian community on role-playing games,
Oh, God.
in which a pair of girls are playing in a game with their, I believe, dungeon mistress.
And sex?
There are some implied things there, but so in like the first panel of the comic, one of the girls' character dies, completely not as a result of anything she did, which wouldn't happen in a game anyway. But then
That
she-
sounds like Benito's games roll like that.
well, no, usually it's your character, the character, your player's own stupidity. But I mean, you wouldn't just kill them without letting them have some choice in it. But then the girl in the comic kills herself because she let her character die. Meanwhile,
Which is what you do.
the dungeon mistress pulls over the other girl who had lived and is like, "You are ready for the real magic." And begins indoctrinating her into the satanic cult until she is rescued by a mustached, very white Christian man, and they burn all the books.
Thank
Oh.
God for
One of the panels was just the
mustached,
girl's,
very
the
white
girl's
Christian
feet.
men.
Like, there's might be a chair that had fallen over, and her feet
Uh-huh.
are just hanging in the
Yeah.
because she'd killed
Hung
herself.
herself.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
They actually
Yeah.
made a live action film of that. It's
Oh,
on
they
YouTube.
did, but
It's
Did
on
they?
YouTube. It's sort of a spoofy, but
it's very
Yeah.
spoofy. Like
really
whoever, like they sold the rights to these people, and they did not know the movie that they were gonna make, because it is not
The
like it-
darkest
We're totally
dungeon.
doing this for Jesus.
Yeah.
with lesbian overtones.
Well, that kind of reminds me of the little video that you said you did, like filmed under the door with.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That I kind of like. I visualized that because it's great because what you did is like you made everyone think about what was really happening rather than showing it. It's like, can I find that anywhere? I want to.
Oh yeah. I think maybe we had talked about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe the links and things. Yeah. I've got all the links.
Cool.
Just hit me up
Oh.
on Messenger, and I'll just give you
I will do
the
that.
link to watch it.
So here's a $100 question. Fantasy football, D&D for jocks or no? We can take our answers around the table.
Okay, yeah, go around the table.
I'd say yes, because it's all stats and building your perfect team. I mean, you aren't playing the game so much, but it's kind of similar to some other RPGs in which you will, build your team and then let them go against a different team.
Yep, and it's a community. It's a community thing. It's done together.
I guess you aren't really playing a role, but I mean, a lot of the mechanics are the same, or at least similar.
Well, I mean, they're not actually constructing teams with the characters. They're constructing with what they think they're going to do.
Well, I mean, no, the player...
And the stats are rolled out, and they figure that...
Yeah,
it's
the
like
players
there's
are the
math,
characters, though.
But
You're basically playing the coach.
Yeah.
oh,
You know,
Well,
the GM or the DM.
then
You're
it
the
sucks
coach.
when your prime player gets a broken leg and you're done for the season.
I mean, it
and all
sucks
that.
when that happens to your fighter, too.
Yeah, what? You can get broken legs in D&D?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just said that guy clawed his eyeball. He was
Yeah.
blind for 10
Well, yeah,
sessions
but-
of the
but-
game.
Then you mean 10 melee rounds or 10?
No, probably 10 actual.
I ate a
That's what
terrible
sit
rat
down
that was
against.
diseased and got dysentery.
No,
The
you
Oregon
barely
Trail?
avoided that.
The Oregon
Barely.
Trail is a game now. It's like, no, all right. Well, what does he do?
love
For,
it.
do they have to lead him around?
He
can't
did.
fight,
He
can
had disadvantage on all of his attacks. And
I think so. Can he attack?
yeah, he
Yeah.
can attack.
You can attack.
Wouldn't
you
you
can
be
attack
more than
blind.
likely to attack your own people?
That can happen.
That
If
can
somebody's
happen,
standing
yeah.
too close, they have to roll things that are like a dexterity check to see if they got out of the way of a swing. And
So in my college days,
Yeah.
when I was in the engineering department, in that phase where you don't have any personal time, you just, and I had one of my group projects. There was a guy in a group project, real devout Christian, who was also struggling. Like his grade, from talking with his grades weren't doing very well. Anyway, I bumped into him in the computer lab, and he was playing a video game. And which I was baffled by at the time, but just in the moment, next 2 weeks, not time to be playing video games, right? And, but I asked him about the video game, and he starts describing, I don't know which game it was, but this is back in the early 90s. So, but he goes, well, you get to be your own person, and you trade, and you kind of develop your own story, and you get points, and you can go up a level. And I'm going, so this is like a D&D. And he goes, no, D&D's for sinners, or something to that effect.
wow.
Uh,
And I went,
Could it be Satan?
have fun with your game. But I went, but I remember walking away going, oh my God, this guy has actually had such a pure life that he's gotten derailed
that
by what I would
special?
call subpar D&D.
No.
Right? Because it was a stupid
Well,
game.
I've
It
heard,
wasn't.
Yeah.
I've heard you tell this story before, and from what it sounds like is he was playing one of the early MUDs, the massively, it's a text-based, massively role-playing game.
Sounds like that.
Oh, dang, I can't
Is it kind of
remember.
like the game that Sheldon was playing online during the episode with Priya and Leonard, where he said, "Grab axe."
Yeah,
turn
yes.
left,
it was like
turn
that. It was
left.
like that.
Yeah.
So it was a role playing game, but he had been told Dungeons and Dragons is evil,
Mm-hmm.
and so like there were no. To me, it's really a funny thing because to me it was like there were no stop signs or yield or warning signs for him when he got into role playing on the computer because it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't
It hadn't
Dungeons
been.
and Dragons.
It hadn't been labeled sinful for him. Yeah.
Had not been labeled simple. All right. Well,
So I don't know.
Would fantasy football satisfy your D&D cravings in terms of?
I mean, not for me. I couldn't tell you anything about football other than you kick it sometimes.
Good.
You run it other times.
I thought that was
Football,
soccer.
you kick it sometimes. It's like I like
There
that.
you, there you go. ESPN.
That's a Facebook quote. That is. That's going
ESPN.
up,
That's
yeah.
mine now. You have to pay me to use it.
Here's a nickel.
No, I like character creation. I like the stories that go along with it.
Oh, I agree with you.
Given the choice, would you rather be a dungeon master or a character?
Oh man, see, I love playing. Ideally, I get to do both. Like I've got a campaign that I can run and a campaign that I can play in.
Yeah.
Because when you're playing a character, you've got all the fun of like building that character. You get really invested in building them with whatever system you're in, just kind of the way you want. Like my very first character, I really liked because I had built him as a dual wielding fighter who got to use 2 oversized swords because I used the right combination of feats and whatnot. And that was really fun. But in the campaign I'm running, I'm having a lot of fun just like with whatever the hell these maniacs want to do next.
Do what I want.
Coming up with challenges for them and kind of like making a story with them all at the same time.
How about you, Benito? Same question.
Same thing. I'm lucky. I get to play and DM, but I think, gosh, I don't know. It's a real toss-up. When I do get to play, I play this great righteous paladin that's half dragon, and I have a gigantic sword, and I get to run in and do cool acrobatic things, and that's a blast.
What can a half
But
dragon do that other creatures can't do?
Half fly.
Swallow you
I
whole.
get to
Half fly.
I get
I
to
can half fly right now.
I get to be a humanoid that breathes fire,
Well,
and I
sweet.
get automatic scales.
Breathing fire would be awesome.
See, it would be fun.
But as a dungeon master, it's a lot of fun. It keeps you on your toes.
Mhm.
You really I really know what's gonna happen. I've got it all planned out. If they go here, I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They go here, I know what's gonna happen, and then it just never happens.
Right.
I
Never.
Did you?
I have a story for that.
Oh,
if
God.
if we
we-
have time
Yeah,
for
we
that.
have time.
No,
Real
this
quick,
is a
it's
great story.
It's like, do you like people to embellish their character, to write up like character information sheets and
Like
like
backstories and things.
yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have
Well,
it.
then,
Yeah,
are
it
you
helps
ready
us
for? Are you going to be
because-
ready for Bill's 84-page backstory? 'Cause Bill goes there.
Well, when we talk about the campaign that we're gonna run with you guys, then it doesn't matter what your backstory is.
Right.
It does to him.
I
know
mean,
it
you can
does.
turn it in, but
You're making an ancient Jedi script book right now. You're actually
love it.
kind of making up everything you're doing, but it's awesome. No, I admire that, but you just be aware that
Before we get to the story, though, Benito, D&D, fantasy football.
oh right, I'm sorry.
What is your
Gosh,
guide?
if all of a sudden I didn't have Dungeons and Dragons and all I had left was fantasy football, I could probably supplement it because
Convert.
I think I could, because when you think about, you're doing research on all the players, which could be not necessarily your race so much, or your class.
Mhm.
So I'm researching, what college did they go to, what athletic programs were they in, what were they good at. Start
previous
picking my
injury
players.
stats.
Sure,
Yeah.
start picking my players based on that and whittling it down and creating, not characters, but creating players based on the research and their histories, and see if I can make a team that does well. So I could probably figure out a way to make it work.
Oh, that'd be sweet. But
There's
Seth
actually
had
a
a story.
Well,
There's actually a lot of Kickstarters out there for fantasy football RPGs.
Oh,
Yeah.
is there really? Oh, that's neat.
There's a ton of them.
so I guess before I get into mine, I'm sure you've got a story when your players just screwed up your plan for what was going to happen, and you just had to make it up on the fly.
I did, and I'm gonna go back to that same girl.
Yeah.
Okay, so the dog's had shredded her, and we brought her back as a really cool demon, because she died and she went off, and it's all dark magic, and she got these great dark gifts,
Yeah.
and she comes back and she's this little badass.
Do you have to
Just-
make a new character sheet for that?
Well, I
or-
didn't have to in this case, but I'll get to that. So she comes back all super evil and badass and super cool, and she just messes with everybody in the group. She's just the little sister pain in the ass that just steals things from the group when they're not looking and just constantly messing things up. Well, at one point, the vampire comes in and he kidnaps one of the girls in the group because he wants to make her his new bride. So as he's taking her away, this pain in the ass character, the girl comes in to the room, and he's like, "Come with me, my child, if you want to be great." Well, that was a throwaway comment because they're walking towards a teleporting thing, and they were just going to disappear. She's like, "I'm in," and she goes with him. I was like, and the game just ended. Luckily, it just ended at that point because we were done for the night. I was like, "Oh shit, now what am I going to do?" So I had a week I came up with this great dark ritual, and she was going to be a vampire shadow demon, and I wrote up this really cool stat block, and I gave her all these really cool abilities. So she had vampire abilities, and she had some shadow demon abilities, plus she had all of her magic from her warlock tiefling character. So she's going to be this major baddie. And I just kept thinking, if she wants to be such a pain in the ass to the group, she's going to fight right alongside the boss. So when the boss needs to, because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
So when he needs to be in his coffin resting, I've got this other character now that she can just mess with him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited. We had tons of text messages going back and forth. I was emailing her stat block and talking to her about how she needs to play this character and how cool it's going to be. And I told her, I said, when we come back next week, Strahd, again the vampire, needs to take a breather to recharge, but you're going to lead his evil army to get these, because I had to throw a dragon in.
Yeah.
These guys wanted a dragon, so I gave Strahd a dragon. Well, they killed the dragon. Well, that's Strahd's pet, so the vampire's super pissed off, but he's got to rest.
Yeah.
So he tells this new character, well, her name's Christina. He tells Christina, he says, "Go get those guys. Go kick their ass. I just turned you in." And we turned off all the lights. We had candles and ritual music
that would
playing.
be awesome.
And I described this amazing transformation of her character into this. Now she's like 6 feet tall, and she has like wolf back legs.
Yeah.
And she has these like
That's awesome.
bone wings, and she's just super awesome. Anyway, so he says, "Go get them. They killed the dragon. I gotta rest." And sends her on the way. The group defeated the dragon. They're super excited. They're celebrating. And then two werewolves who have two direwolves. It's a werewolf with two direwolves and another set of those and bats. Strahd's throwing everything at him. So before the fight, I told her it was going to happen. That she's going to do this, and I said, "I need you to just hang back, throw a lot of fireballs, let the werewolves, the direwolves, the bats, let these guys do all the work, and as the hit points come down, you can come in for that final, that final kill shot."
So you're actually trying to kill the party at this point?
Well, yeah, because they killed Strahd's dragon, they need to pay. So anyway, as it happens, there's a big, large room, and somebody had cast a spell that caused vines with thorns on them.
Yeah.
So nobody could really do a whole lot. The wolves were kind of trapped in there, but they're working their way towards the door. If they can get through this doorway to where the group is, it's just going to be a total melee. So she gets there with the group. The bats are flying around. The dire wolves are working their way through the thorns. And it's going pretty well. And then they came in first, and then Christina comes down to the door, this other doorway. So it's doorway, room, doorway.
Okay.
And the first thing she does, she's like, "Well, I can fly over these thorns." She goes, flies over the thorns,
So she's the
flies
first
direct,
one in the
first
group?
one in,
Oh no!
flies through the doorway, and all the group is standing there waiting.
And they all just attack her and take her right out.
Yeah, she runs into one 'cause she flew into one. She falls down, and then they just beat her on the ground, stabbed her.
That's right, stealing my shit.
Yeah, so it took me, a week of all this work and all these talks.
And lost.
She wasn't alive more than 15 minutes.
Oh my god. That would be
Now
so
she's
depressing.
dead. She's dead again. So now we're gonna play again on Thursday. I have to figure out what's gonna happen with her.
Is this person
Oh my
going
God.
to be listening to this show ever?
Probably, but she knows. We joke around about it, but that's my story of where just my
Yeah.
character that I thought was gonna be the
Right.
greatest baddie ever
Yeah.
Do you have one, Seth?
just died.
I do. It is the legend of the monk who fucks.
All right, yes. Yes, I was hoping that was the
Why
one.
do I feel this involves Jenna?
It actually
Doesn't.
doesn't.
Really?
Doesn't, because I am not a monk.
No. Jenna is our rogue. She's a rogue shifter. So, our campaign revolves around the group of heroes trying to start a rebellion against a tyrant ruler of a city. And he's got a lot of stuff going in the background that they don't know about, so I can't say anything about that right now. But they're at the point in in the formation of this rebellion where they need to start recruiting allies and other powerful people who can help support them. And one of them, the ruler of the city, just turned on him and his group and basically declared them outlaws and arrested all of his people. And so the group approaches him, and he is a kind of a lawful good character, and he's like, okay, I want you to get my people out of jail, but I want you to do it within the law and not just walk in there and murder everyone.
And I'm just like, no, let me make fun.
And so, to their credit, they go through a lot of work to do this. They get they find someone who can forge them the proper paperwork. They get costumes. They get a cart that they dress up in the city's police colors so that they look completely legit. And Jenna, her character hangs back because the police know her.
Yeah, I'm a local, so I've been to jail at least a half dozen times in my life growing up in the city. So I can't. Dude, I'm like, I'll just hang out, guys. Drink.
Unfortunately for the group, she's the only one who can tell any sort of lie convincingly.
Yeah.
And so the rest of them get in there, and the warden of the prison is an inquisitor who's really good at sussing out lies. And they hand her the paperwork, the forged documents, and they actually convince her. So that's one step down. But then, as like she's filling out like her end of the paperwork, she's just like making small talk, like, "Hey,
Oh, no.
How long has it been since you started serving this evil deity that we all serve here in this city?" And they're just like, lie unconvincingly, fail my bluff check. And this happens for like 4 of the characters there.
No.
And I'm like, well, at this point, the warden is getting suspicious because she can tell that they've all been lying to her on these little things. So her radar's up. So they've got one more chance, which is I've saved for last because it is the dwarf whose dump stat is charisma. he can't
dwarf
lie.
monk.
The dwarf monk who cannot lie and has no charisma. And
No charisma.
so I'm playing from a module, but I'm heavily modifying it just because I love getting in all the little details. But one of the things in her like character profile says that she will flirt with the characters, and so I'm just like, okay, this is blown for them already. I'm just gonna have. She has a thing for dwarves.
Okay.
So she's like, so hey, short stuff, what are you doing later on in the evening? And he's like, lies unconvincingly, fails his bluff check, and then she's kind of both personally offended and really pissed. So it's getting bad for them. And then our sorcerer is like, oh, no. He's just embarrassed that he lost all his money. Here, bud, have 50 gold. Go show her a good time. And he crits his bluff check. So now the success of the entire operation depends on whether this dwarf with no charisma can show the warden a good time. And so...
Wait, no, go ahead. You finish the story.
Yeah, they set up a thing, like, they know he's never going to be able to make it through this date. So they set up get a bar fight going, like, they're, like, planning this out.
Impress her through violence.
So they get to he, like, takes her to this bar where they know the owner. And so she has arranged for this big bar fight to happen sometime during the evening. And I'm like, okay, we're going to play this out and see how it goes. And so they, like, start off the date, some small talk, he's blowing it, and she's, like, at the point in the date where she's, like, looking at her cell phone. She'd be like, oh, no, my mom needs to... Mm-hmm. So they're like, bar fight now. Jenna's character is just, like, up in the rafters, just, like... And so they had arranged for, like, they had planned for 6, and I threw, like, 9 people at him. And to his credit, he finally starts rolling well and like critting his rolls. And by the end of this bar fight, like her rolls I've been rolling for her too to see if it's like she's going for it, and she is. And so by the end of this bar fight, the warden just like drags him out and back to her room at the jail, and like none of them know what happened after that in character.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, how funny.
It was great.
And that was all unplanned.
Unplanned. I was just like making it up as I went. It's like, okay, so they're
Horrified.
yeah. I had planned for them to succeed, and I had planned for them to fail utterly, and for it to devolve into a melee that they probably wouldn't have survived.
So let me see.
That's funny.
Your campaigns involve ugly dwarves that have sex, and your campaigns involve people who claw their own eyes out while their party ignores the other people being dragged off by wolves. All right, cool. Yeah.
I mean, I never said he was ugly. I just said he was.
He has 0 charisma.
Yeah, no, he has 8 charisma.
You said 0.
No, I said it was his dump stat. Someone with 0 charisma is dead.
Yes, but that's why I kind of was wondering why I thought you said that. But it's like 8 charisma is still not a handsome
Not a
man.
charismatic
Yeah.
person.
Well, really, he's just very, very gruff and rude. So.
All right.
That's funny. Now that you mentioned clawing the eyeballs out, I do notice though from working on so many horror movies and the things that we do, and then being in other campaigns, my fight scenes and the things that happen to people are just
more gory.
so gruesome. And I look around the room and I see people I'm losing. I'm just like, oh.
You
Well,
wake
see,
up.
I would
You
love
wake
that.
up chained to a bed, and you see a nurse with a sledgehammer.
Right? Yeah. But I
Yeah.
had one girl. The wolves were trying to tear her head off, but they were stuck on her spine. And I'm just like, they're shaking your body. And,
Yes.
Some little details that
yeah.
count.
So
That's fantastic.
Well, and that's DMs bring their world to life. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there
so-
you go.
yeah, I didn't even think about, but
Yeah.
until just now, I maybe.
So
I'm
what
a
does that
little
make
bit on the heavy
successful? Where
graphic
Well,
end of it.
ugly little monks just have sex all the time. So,
Not all the time. This is
No.
a single. This is a
This-
one-off. There have been other things that they've done that have gone off track, but
well, it sounds like Jenna's character is just going to do what Jenna's character is going to do.
Oh, very
Basically,
much.
yes.
Those are the
So it sounds like
one in every group.
your campaign right now that you're running sounds like it focuses a lot on the role-playing aspect, or is it more on the gameplay aspect?
It depends. Like when Strahd shows up, they really need to be
Mhm.
in their character. But Strahd's thing is, he's been alive for 400 or 500 years, and his thing is inviting people, getting people to the castle, and then he just tortures them.
Mhm.
That he doesn't have anything else. He's created a whole civilization, so he has a town, so he can even go into town and screw with people. So it's a lot of throwing things at him and traps and creatures, and he just sits back and he sees the whole thing, and it's just his entertainment. So it really is a lot. And then there's NPCs they run into. But the problem with the NPCs are they've been part of this castle now for 300-400 years as well.
Right.
And they just don't know how long they've been there. They don't necessarily even know who they are, where they are. So the NPCs give them nothing.
Mhm.
So it's really, there's some nights we get out of there and the group is just shot. They're just defeated, and just the castle's just kicking their ass, and they're tired and they don't get rest, and
Yeah.
it's a very, very, very heavy dark campaign.
That sounds amazing.
We tried to throw in some light stuff.
It does
obviously.
sound kind of amazing. It does.
We
What's
throw
the
in-
difference between role-play and gameplay for our audience?
So
And maybe me.
yeah, role-playing is where you really you get into the character and you speak for them. Gameplay, I would say, focuses a lot more on rolling the dice, whereas role-playing
And talking
focuses a
about
lot
what you want your
more
character to
like
do.
like doing that communication between characters, like without the dice rolls.
Mhm.
Like
So you're
you-
talking, Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. If you want to lie, you have to lie in character, not just say, "Okay, I'm going to bluff him," and roll the dice for the bluff check.
Yeah, we need to know what your lie is, and is it
Oh,
convincing?
so you have to make it
Yeah.
up. They
Yeah.
have to be in character enough with their character to make the proper kind of.
Mhm.
versus the mechanics of rolling the dice
Well, that's
to
cool.
see if you jump from one log to the next.
And I mean, it's a sliding scale depending on whatever group you're playing and who your DM is. Like, you can go, like my wife Katie much prefers more of a gameplay focused, and I kind of prefer that too because I'm terrible at coming up with dialogue on the fly.
I would not say that. I would never have thought that about you.
I just can't seem to do it in game. Like I have the hardest time. Like I always feel like under pressure. Whereas if I'm writing, I can come up with stuff
Mhm.
just like off the top of my head.
How's Jenna? Because I just imagine you just like, death, my precious. All the time. That's just all you do.
No.
No, Jenna really gets into her character. She's fun.
I'm gonna go do a thing. Are you sure? Yes. Okay.
Jenna, are you sure that you want your character to eat that dire rat because it did bite someone and give them disease? It's probably diseased.
I'm like,
You
I'm a
cook
shifter
it-
of a stomach
cook
of
it long
Teflon.
enough.
It's fine.
Anything's fine.
Funny.
Yeah.
You guys do character voices?
No.
No.
Do you roll for?
I try and
for-
do some character voices, but
for disease when you eat the dire rat, or
Oh,
what?
Oh,
he made me.
yeah, I was
I
like,
said my
you're gonna eat the
shifter-
rat. You're gonna roll the dice.
No, I said my shifter ability should have protected me. He's like, let the dice decide. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, how did it come out?
I mean, obviously, hopefully we've got
did
our
she-
audience engaged
she
and really.
survived.
Oh,
Hey, I survived, intact. That's all that matters. Excited to see your next live round. When do you think that will be?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. We have 2 big games coming up. We
All
have
right.
we're gonna do the Grand Con. I'll have to look up the dates. I'm sorry. It's
When is
March.
that?
I think it is the next to the last weekend in March
And where?
in Grand
that's
Island.
that's the
Oh,
one
Grand
day
Island.
free con, right?
Yeah, it's the free con.
You know, if you're gonna be there, I've always been wanting to go. So
It's
like-
amazing.
yeah.
They grow and grow and grow, and
Yeah.
it's because it's a free con. The vendors pay, and it's not even very much. I think it's $25 or something for a booth.
Huh.
Yeah. Well,
And so we've always had a good time there.
the
at that
vendors
con.
actually really always pay, but it's like
So-
True,
in the end,
but that's a fraction, I think, of what you normally have to.
yeah.
So you've been there in previous years. Have
Mhm.
you ever met someone named Becky Cook?
Maybe.
She is a big D&D player out, and she lives out in the Hastings Grand
Oh,
Island
really?
area.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hopefully, she'll come to the show then.
I'll talk to her and see.
Okay, but they gave us the Grand Theater, which is the most beautiful
It is.
restored theater ever.
Yeah, we were out there for the Prairie Lights thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Oh, right.
beautiful.
Yeah, you were just there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's just amazing. And I always wanted to play films there. And when I got to, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And now we're doing live shows, and I thought, well, let's contact the con
Yeah.
and tell them that whatever the door fee is, we'll split it with you because we know you're a free con and you may not be making a ton of money based on you're just letting people walk in to come to your con. So we talked to them, and they're like, no, they're like, just you can have the whole theater. You can
Oh,
just
wow.
Wow.
charge whatever you want at the door. We'll set up your sound. We'll do everything for you.
Wow.
And they said all we want are the concessions.
Okay.
It's like, well, that's awesome.
Since
'Cause
they,
it's
they
beautiful.
provide them anyway, don't they? I mean,
The concessions.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean they would have. We wouldn't have got that fee, but I was more than happy to give them some of the door money.
Right.
But super excited about that because I think that theater is beautiful. And anyway, they said we'll promote
maybe.
you guys playing. You'll be on our docket. You'll just be part of the con.
Maybe we have to
Awesome.
go to Grand Con this year.
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
there's that, and then the following weekend we all have to pile up in a van and load up all of our equipment. And we'll go to Planet Comic Con. We got
Yes.
invited to play there.
That'll be
Nice.
awesome. John Cleese is going to be there.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be.
So we're still sort of cutting our teeth and paying our dues, but I think now that you mentioned that, I think in the future, once we get this first round of the tour under our belt, then we'll start seeing if we can get some more celebrities or famous people who want to step in and play,
Sure.
Sponsorships.
who may want to play or who already played D&D. Maybe they want to sit in on one of the live
Right.
games, and that would be really fun too.
That would
That'd
be
be
amazing.
awesome.
So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we're cutting our teeth and
Right.
paying our dues, so
Right.
we're not ready to start inviting celebs, but
Mhm.
Takes a while.
we'll see.
Cool. All right. Well, looks like we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, so about
Yeah,
time
a
to
little
wrap
bit.
it up.
Do you
Yeah, a
want to
little
talk
bit
just really
overtime.
quick?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to talk really quick about the campaign that we'll do?
Yeah,
And I'll make
yeah,
it
yeah.
super short.
Okay.
So
No,
I know
you're
you're
good.
trying to get out of here. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I did this last time too. I think.
No,
We made this
no,
run
that
long.
was all me last time.
So what we'll do, I don't know who's gonna play yet. You guys will just have to.
Me.
You guys
Me.
will have to let me
I
know.
want to play.
But I
I
think
wanna
what we'll
play.
do, I know what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the classic where you go to the tavern because
Okay.
it's just so stereotypical
Yes.
that
Okay.
that's where you start.
Yep.
So I'm not letting anything out of the bag because you're gonna know the minute you show up.
Yep.
I think what we're gonna do is you're gonna go to the tavern, and it's gonna be there's gonna be a sign on the wall that's basically like if you go eat the monster burger with 27 patties, get your name on the wall. So I think what it's gonna be is you guys will show up as a group because you just came off of a big adventure,
Uh-huh.
and you're there celebrating, and on the wall is survive the dungeon, get your name on the wall.
Challenge accepted.
Right. So what it is,
Mhm.
the bar will have under the bar will be a dungeon challenge,
Oh, nice.
and so you'll go through each one of the steps of the underground dungeon and come out the other side and see if you can get your name on the wall or see who lived or
Nice.
survived and
Excellent.
or died, or it'll have some puzzle traps in it and some physical traps, and so you're not really
Yeah.
fighting baddies.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't. So your stats won't mean as much. What I was saying was, if you were a 3rd level or 5th or 6th level,
Yeah.
you know, you're just doing some mechanics of trying to get through this.
So we're going to
Gotcha.
a Middle Earth escape room is basically.
Basically,
yeah.
exactly. That's a great way to say it.
Ooh,
It's
sweet.
basically going to be an escape room.
Good
Sounds
time.
very cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
I am
Yes.
too.
All right. And we'll record that so we can put it on the show.
Yeah, we'll do it at our dungeon,
Yep.
and we call it the Vault.
Okay.
We'll do it at our dungeon, and then, like I said, we'll air it same way you guys do,
Yeah.
and then you guys can have that file, and you guys
Sweet.
can do what you want with it, and we'll cross
Sounds
promote
great.
and share. And it'll be a
Excellent.
blast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should be a lot of
Awesome.
fun. I love being
Very
here with you
cool.
guys.
Get to
Thank
play
you.
again.
Hey, I get to play once finally after all these years.
Yeah, bitch.
All right. Well, Benito, thank you for being on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate it.
having me.
Love having you here.
Yeah, it's
So,
a blast. I love coming here.
Yeah, we'll look forward to gaming with you after the first of the
Yeah,
year.
we'll wait
So-
till the holidays.
Yes.
And we'll do it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching another show. We'll see you next time. Like and subscribe, and check us out on YouTube, which you're probably already watching us on. We're also audio on Stitcher, iTunes, podcast.com, Google Podcasts, everywhere you want to be.
Like, subscribe, leave us a review, leave us a comment.
We're on
Or a
Facebook,
show topic.
Twitter, and Instagram. So
Yeah.
check us out there.
All right. Thanks. See y'all.
And-
Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.